I'm Dick Courtney, and welcome to Candidates Night 2024. I'm currently the president of the Moraga Citizens Network, commonly known as MCN, and I'll refer to that the rest of the evening. So MCN was an organization founded in 2005. It's a nonprofit grassroots organization whose mission is to encourage civic, recreational, and community engagement in the town of Moraga. By providing nonpartisan information on events, opportunities, and issues, we seek to promote and foster awareness, participation, and a sense of belonging to all who reside and work in our town and those who visit our community. We attempt to achieve our mission in a variety of ways, including the event this evening, but probably most of you are hopefully familiar with the MCN link. This is our bi-weekly electronic newsletter that summarizes all that's happening in the town. If you're not already a subscriber to the link, please see one of the board members that you can easily identify because they're all wearing MCN t-shirts, as I am doing. Or you can go to the Moraga Citizens Network website, which is moragacitizensnetwork.org, and you can register there. At this point, I'd like to have all of the Moraga Citizens Network board members please stand and be recognized. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge Ellen Beans, who is the executive director of MCN. Ellen, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Tonight is the 10th Candidates Night. The Candidates Night was launched by MCN in 2006, and they've taken place every 2 years. Initially, the events only featured candidates seeking election to the Moraga Town Council, but in 2022, the event expanded to include candidates for the Moraga School Board, as well as the Moraga-Orinda Fire District. Tonight, we'll hear from appointees to the Moraga Town Council and candidates seeking election to the Moraga School Board. This year, Candidates Night is co-sponsored by MCN and by St. Mary's College of California, which we're thankful for as hosting the event this evening. St. Mary's College, as most of you probably know, is Moraga's largest employer and was ranked one of the best colleges in the country by Money Magazine in 2024, and in the top 5% of best colleges among Western regional universities in 2025. The college is known for its transformative education, currently has an enrollment of about 2,000 undergraduate students, a little over 700 graduate students, and over 54,000 alumni. So for many people, they think of Moraga as St. Mary's College, and also as St. Mary's College is Moraga. So it's quite fitting that tonight's event is being co-sponsored by the college, and that Dr. Corey Cook, professor of politics and provost here at St. Mary's, is our moderator. I'll introduce him more formally in just a few minutes. I want to note at the outset that this event tonight is being conducted not only here in person, but via Zoom to accommodate those who cannot or choose not to attend in person. Second, the event is being recorded and will be available by next Tuesday on the MCN website. So if you know someone who wasn't able to be here tonight, please invite them to go to the website. They can see the recording. As a technical note, I want to point out that if any of you in the room here having difficulty hearing, or anyone watching on Zoom is experiencing any difficulty in hearing or having any technical difficulties, please feel free to text the following number for Shari Simon, who's here this evening. Her telephone number, you can text to 415-309-0149. So let me repeat that, 415-309-0149. Tonight's Candidates Night will occur in two parts. Part one, we'll hear from our Moraga Town Council appointees. Because there are currently 3 open positions on the Moraga Town Council, there are 3 candidates for those positions, there will not be an election to select individuals. Instead, the 3 individuals have already been appointed to the council. So tonight, we'll give all of us an opportunity to hear from those individuals and begin to know them better. Following a short break, we'll have the opportunity to hear from the 3 candidates running for 2 open positions on the Moraga School Board. These 2 individuals will be selected for 4-year terms on the school board at the general election, and they'll be held on November 5th. In both parts of tonight's event, the town council appointees and school board candidates will be able to make a 2-minute opening statement, and then will be asked questions to be addressed by each person with 2 minutes allowed for each response. Each person will then have an opportunity to make a 1-minute closing statement. Questions that will be asked tonight of the town council appointees and school board candidates were selected from those questions that were submitted by members of the community and were selected and edited for this purpose. As I mentioned previously, our moderator for tonight is Corey Cook, just over here. And Corey is professor of politics and serves as executive vice president and provost at St. Mary's College. As provost, he is the college's chief academic officer. Prior to joining St. Mary's in 2019, he was the founding dean of the School of Public Service at Boise State University. Before that, he served as the director of the Leo T. McCarthy Center for Public Service and the Common Good at the University of San Francisco. He holds Bachelor of Arts degrees in political science and peace and conflict studies from UC Berkeley, and master's and doctoral degrees in political science from the University of Wisconsin at Madison. Please join me in welcoming Corey Cook.
Hey everybody, good evening. Come on, let's do this again. Hi everybody, good evening. Welcome, we're thrilled to have you at St. Mary's. Welcome to the college. I'd like to especially extend a welcome to our students who are here tonight. Thank everybody who is responsible for putting on this event, our IT team, our events folks. We're really glad to have you here. For those watching online, welcome. So I have kids who've gone through the Moraga schools. Obviously I work at St. Mary's and I'm in town. Obviously this is an important night, like elections are serious business. But I also want to start with a moment of, this should be a joyous night tonight too. This is what the essence of our democracy is. It's occurring in local communities like this around the country, right? So you've all been watching national debates and some of the loud yelling and screaming and those things. What I really appreciate about communities like this and events like this is that this is actually what democracy is in the United States. So I want to thank each of you who's thrown your hat in the ring, who's been willing to do public service the way it's meant to be done at the local level, who's decided that you want to take an opportunity to serve your community by being on the town council or serve our schools by running for the school board. Thank you. We really appreciate you. For those of you here tonight, those volunteering as poll workers, thank you for your service. So again, thank you and welcome to St. Mary's. We're really glad to have you. We're going to start by meeting our 3 new members of the town council. So I would invite forward Brian Dolan, Lisa Malio, and Graham Teal. So the way this is going to work is we give each of the candidates a 2-minute introduction. We do have timekeepers. And as I told the candidates, I will gently but will enforce the time requirements. After we get through the introductions, I'll pose questions of each of the candidates. They'll have 2 minutes to respond, and then they'll summarize at the end. So again, thank you for being here, and we'll invite the candidates to begin with the introductions. So Brian Dolan is going to go first. Brian.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here and giving us this opportunity to share a little bit about ourselves. It's kind of a unique situation being appointed as opposed to elected, but that's where we are. And thank you to MCN for putting this event on. A little bit about me. I was born in Sonoma County outside of Santa Rosa. I come from a family of public servants. Both my parents were teachers, as were 2 of my 3 sisters. The last sister followed her older brother into the city planning arena. I went to college at Cal, studied landscape architecture and urban design. I got a graduate degree in city planning from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. taught Michael Jordan everything he knows about basketball while I was there. I worked for about 37 years, mostly as a city planner, but the last 7 were in city management. I retired from the city of Pleasanton in 2022 as the assistant city manager, and also spent my last 6 months as the interim city manager. My wife and I and our 2 kids moved to Moraga in 2001, just in time for our oldest to attend first grade. My son is 29 and recently moved back from New York to the San Francisco office of the marketing firm that he works for. My daughter is 26 and lives in Puerto Escondido, Mexico, where she writes environmental impact reports from the beach for a Bay Area consulting firm. Before I retired, other than working and commuting, I spent most of my free time chasing my kids around at LMYA soccer, CYO basketball, Moraga Ranch Swim Club and OMPA, JM basketball, volleyball, NBA baseball, Kappa dance school, AAU basketball, club volleyball, Campo basketball,
And we're going to
volleyball,
stop
and
you right there.
lacrosse.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. See, we're going to force the time limits. Thank you.
Good
Next,
for
we'll
you.
turn to Lisa Malio. Lisa.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the Moraga Citizens Network and, of course, St. Mary's College.
Oh, push it. Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Moraga Citizens Network and, of course, St. Mary's College for hosting this evening tonight. I'm honored and I'm most grateful to have been appointed to the Town Council, along with the talented Brian Dolan and the talented Graham Teal. I've lived in Moraga for over 32 years. As a single mother, I felt very grateful and feel grateful that I was able to raise my daughter here in a very caring, special, unique community that I've called my home for a long time. I proudly served the town as a planning commissioner, design review board member, PTA president, Moraga Park Foundation board member, and I'm currently serving as the vice president of the Moraga Community Foundation. I've spent most of my professional life in public and private law practice in San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and Los Angeles as a government contracts attorney. As a deputy city attorney for San Francisco, I represented several city departments, as well as advised the Board of Supervisors on public contract matters. I learned that good governance is essential to any community to serve the needs of those who live and work here. I'm excited to sit on the council during a time in which there are many pivotal decisions to be made. My career as an attorney has prepared me well for the work ahead. My strength lies in being able to understand and synthesize information and to make reasoned decisions based on the facts. I'm also a good listener. I will focus forward, keeping in mind the history and culture of Moraga, and I'll use thoughtful and innovative decision-making to guide Moraga through the present and into the future. And I'm anxious to jump in and continue to expand on the excellent work of the current council, addressing the challenging issues of the day, which include housing, fire safety and emergency management, economic vitality through the revitalization of our two
Thank you very
commercial
much,
areas.
Lisa.
Thanks.
And next, we'll hear from Graham Teal.
Great. Thank you, St. Mary's College and Moraga Citizens Network for having us out here today. Since it did not appear on the ballot, since the 3 of us have been appointed, I too will briefly read the candidate statement. So I'm running for town council to continue my work as planning commissioner. I've been a volunteer planning commissioner since 2020, where we put an excessive amount of effort into updating our general plan, getting one of the first housing elements approved in the state of California. Also serve in the Art and Public Spaces Committee through Public Works Department. My background in history is primarily in design and construction project management. I'm a graduate of University of Colorado's College of Environmental Design. And beyond my core expertise in real estate development, construction project management, I possess practical expertise working with state and local governments, municipalities, and demonstrate a deep expertise in lean construction, collaborative project management, and sustainability. My family and I moved to the town of Moraga 10 years ago. We now have an adult daughter who graduated from Campo Lindo High School don't think she participated in as many activities as Brian's folks, but working on that with my 14-year-old twin. So pleasure to be here with you all tonight. So thank you for coming out and giving us the time and attention to hear what you have to say and provide the feedback that we've got. So thank you.
Yes, we could turn up Lisa's microphone just a little bit. Lisa, if you could turn it up just a nudge. Thank you. So for each of the questions, we'll let the candidates know the speaking order. The first question, Lisa will go first. The question is, the state-mandated housing element requires that Moraga allow more than 1,000 new housing units over the next several years. How will you work to implement this requirement, as well as mitigate any negative impacts?
Well, every city, sorry, I'll get used to this soon. Yeah. This is good practice for the council. Can you all hear me okay? Okay, every city in California is required to do the same. And the thing that Moraga has to do is to plan for this, and they have been planning for this for some time. What Moraga has to do is to plan smartly, and what should happen is that we have to figure out where all this housing is going to go. Now, we're not immediately going to get over 1,000 new housing units. However, it is prudent and smart to put those housing units away from hillsides and away from ridgelines, and it's important to put them in places like the center of towns. We have 2 shopping centers, we have excess space, and that's where housing should go. The good news about that is that while there may be more traffic, et cetera, these could bring to the town a great deal of economic development, in that we hope to make these mixed use environments where people will live, where people will work, and hopefully where people will carpool and take transit. And I think that the addition of additional housing units will help with transit, will help with economic development of the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Graham.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Corey. So as I briefly mentioned in the candidate statement, the Planning Commission, in partnership with the Town Council, has worked diligently over the last couple of years to both upzone the 2 shopping districts, the Moraga Center and Ream Center shopping, and that's where, of the slightly over 1,000 housing units that the state regional housing goal is requiring for the town of Moraga, that's where we've worked to concentrate the majority of that new housing unit. And as Lisa's mentioned, the goal of that is to combine it with mixed-use development. So in addition to concentrated, mostly multifamily housing, there's also robust opportunities for new commercial development as well, too. So as far as what we understand presently through extensive outreach and feedback from the community, as far as negative impacts, there's definitely a strong community concern with emergency exiting, fire and life safety. And so my thoughts and opinions on the matter is how to work collaboratively with the community so that we both educate and understand the current community's needs and perception of the development, where it's going, when it's happening, and how we can collaboratively work with our local landowners in those 2 shopping districts so we can encourage responsible and resilient development that also meets both the state housing needs and aligns with and mitigates the negative impacts and perceptions that might come along with that.
Thank you. Brian, same question.
Thank you. So we already know where the housing is going to go. The town went through a long process to identify the sites that were required to meet our obligations under RENA, the state-imposed requirement on housing. So, and they are, as has been mentioned, primarily located in our 2 commercial areas. In terms of impacts, I think there's going to be more traffic. You have more houses, there's going to be more traffic. Maybe not quite as much as it would have been in the past due to different office practices and working at home and those kinds of things. There's also the type of housing that some of this will be a lot higher density than what we normally experience in this town. I don't think anybody's built an apartment building in this town, certainly not in the 23 years that I've been here, and I bet you it's a lot further back than that. So it's going to look different. And so we're going to have traffic impacts, and we're going to have buildings that some people are uncomfortable with. So how do you mitigate that? You use your staff and design experts to work with the developers to come up with some architecture that meets their needs, but is something that we can live with. And I've been working with developers doing just that almost my entire career. It can be done. Some people will still be unhappy because it's just going to be taller and bigger. As far as traffic, you know, there's little things we can do. I don't know that we're really going to end up with gridlock here in town. I think we have quite a bit of capacity on our streets. There's going to be intersections here and there that we have to improve. But the problems are going to be at the end of the road in downtown Orinda and downtown Lafayette. And all we can do there is hope to work with those two communities to solve what is inevitably going to be worse than it is now.
Thank you. So for the second question, Graham, you'll kick us off. The second question is, what can town council do to encourage or incentivize private property owners to revitalize our commercial centers?
Yeah, to the extent the community is aware, there's been significant outreach and engagement with the current property owners at both ends of town in those shopping districts. I know our town managers worked extensively to meet with, understand their opportunities and how they've seen what the town has done to advance both the upzoning and present them with a clear path forward. There's been a lot of great work by both planning department staff and in addition the planning commission to ensure that we've got responsible, rational folks at the staff level and at the planning commission level and of course at the town council to ensure that when applications that are in alignment with both the needs of the town and with the goals of the state housing goals and with the support of town council and community come forward, that they've got a path and opportunity to bring forth the new development that we're looking for.
Thank you. Brian, same question to you.
Well, I think we've started that process, and that it began in earnest when Scott was hired as the new town manager. A lot of it has to do with the relationship you have with the owners. It's been bumpy in some cases over the period of time that I've lived in town, but you need to have the interest and motivation and cooperation of the owners for anything to happen. And so we need to keep that communication going, ongoing, and even improve it. The town has done a fair amount, I think, to incentivize them to do something. The rezoning gives them lots of opportunities to do very profitable improvements. And I think that we're on the verge of some movement in that area after a long doldrum.
Thank you. Lisa.
As Graham and Brian have said, the town has worked very hard to work with the property owners of those areas, and I think that the town needs to continue working with them, discussing with them, and maybe even beginning to convince them that, and I think they may know that their best interest also lies with the town best interest, because I think that they can be profitable if they give the town what the town needs, and the town does need revitalization, and I think if the property owners in the town can work in tandem, both will see that both sides can be happy.
Thank you. So Lisa, you'll speak first on the third question. This question is, other than development, what challenges do you think the town of Moraga is facing, and how will you address those?
Well, all of these dovetail together. Development is a big one, and it brings to mind different things. Of course, I think top of everybody's mind is emergency management and safety, particularly at this time of the year with wildfires. The town of Moraga is very lucky to partner with the Moraga Orinda Fire District. They are excellent, they are award-winning, and they have worked with the town in order to protect the town as well as the surrounding areas of Orinda. We need to continue to be able to do that. They have prepared for various emergencies. We've all gone through the evacuation drills, and they continue to refine and to educate the public, which is very important, how each individual homeowner can work in tandem with the town to protect their own property. I think that is primary. Secondarily, I do think that one of the important things is to work further with our streets and traffic improvements. It is important that the town be more sustainable and continue to be sustainable in order to be economically viable, and we need to leave this town in a better place than we did than it is now for our children. And I think the improvements that public works departments are making to make this town more walkable, to make this town more livable and safer have gone far, and we should continue to do that and continue to seek grants which would assist with both of those endeavors, emergency management and making the town more sustainable.
Thank you. Graham.
That was an excellent statement. Thank you for that, Lisa. I think the town is, from a challenges standpoint, I think we've got a lot of opportunities. And whether or not the development that we've set the table for comes in and is the solution for that, I wouldn't necessarily put that all on the development. But I think beyond that, just further connecting our community. I think we do a great job in the events, in the schools, in aspects of the level of community engagement. And I think we can, through the work that we currently do, just enhance that. And I think that when we do find the challenges of development or the challenges of disaster preparedness or street and road improvement, the more that we can have a connected, educated, representative community involved, the easier it makes those challenges when they do present themselves.
Thank you. And Brian.
So my colleagues have touched on the first two that come to mind, fire safety and also infrastructure maintenance. We're getting to that age of a town where the things that we don't see might not work as well. And we really need to keep an eye on it to avoid things like sinkholes and bridge collapses. And you know, the town stepped up and raised some money to invest in infrastructure. And that's great, and we've got a little bit more time on that, but that problem's not going to go away. It's probably going to increase. And then I got to circle back to the development. I'm thinking I don't really see development as a problem, other than we're going to get housing that a lot of people don't particularly want. But I think everybody can agree that what we really want is improvement in our commercial centers, because they are tired and they're vacant, and we can do better than that. And I want to continue the work that has been started with the new town manager and the council to succeed in that regard.
Thank you. Brian, you're going to go first for the next question, and it's one that I think Lisa began to speak about. There continues to be citizen concern about Moragans' ability to quickly evacuate in the event of a wildfire. With an increased population, the risk grows. As a town council member, how will you address this very real challenge?
So the risk will grow with greater population. More people will have to get out if they need to. I know that we are participating in a regional evacuation study to see what can be done, whether it's something very innovative with one-way traffic on the exit paths, or whether it is the securing the open areas defended by a fire truck. None of those are perfect, but we need to explore each and every one of them. When I was still working, this horrible years of fire was just starting or had been going on, and we all got sent to conferences, and some of the fire guys said, one of the best things we can do is build the old sirens like they used to up on the hill, just to get the word out. I mean, there's a lot better ways to communicate, but sometimes the old way might be the best way. So I think we just need to look at that study and explore all options, because there is no silver bullet. And I've experienced firsthand the horrors of fire up at my family cabin up by Mount Lassen, which we almost lost twice in the last 5 years.
Thank you. Graham?
Yeah, I think with the increased risk, and a lot of the tone and tenor in some of the questions when some of the more recent development projects have come through the Planning Commission, there's been, I think, more of a fear about what increased population and increased wildfire risk could bring, but along with the fear of facts. And the facts are that we've got a town that's been highly focused, and we've got emergency services, both at fire and police, that are heavily engaged and have put an extensive amount of thought and detail into providing solutions for these potential risks that are in fact an ever-present reality with the climate change that we're facing and seeing locally and nationally. So with that fear and with those facts, I think we can still continue to build upon community education, community engagement, and also enhance our participation and our preparedness. And I think the more that we can do to get folks like yourselves out and about and understanding the work that's been put into place to further connect with those who might be more on the side of fear, that need a little bit more of the facts, the better we can do to enhance overall preparedness and further demonstrate that ability at the community level through further activities of engagement where we do have more meetings with fire and life safety, we do have more emergency exercises, and we do have improvements, like Brian had suggested, to more simple notifications, given that there's a lot of complex ways to communicate. Some of the simple ones work the best.
Thank you. Lisa, same question.
As Brian and Grant have said, the town has done a lot of planning and a lot of scenarios. We're ready for a number of scenarios. We partner, as we said, with the MOFD, but also with county resources. And I think what's very important is education. And each member of the community should have more, and hopefully we will get more information to the community so that they know what to do as individuals. First of all, one of the things that people should know is that the entire town may not need to evacuate. When we had that drill a couple of years ago, it was town-wide. But there will be centers in town, such as here at St. Mary's, some of the schools, where only certain parts of the town may need to evacuate. It may not be the worst case scenario. And I think that's an important thing for people of the community to know. But there are simple things that homeowners can do, hardening the defenses around their house. In planning and in development, there are better and new materials that I think that the Moraga can, and in planning and there's a fly, that we can assist with and hopefully educate and maybe even codify fire-safe materials that should be used. For instance, our simple wood fences, and most of our houses have wood fences. Today there are new kinds of fences made of different materials. You can do stucco fences, other fences. I think that's important, as well as landscape planning, as well as water management. All of these things really that in essence go to sustainability also go to wildfire risk. And I think it's important for the community to think in more of a global fashion, if you will, instead of simple evacuation.
Okay, so for the next question, the fifth question, Graham, you're going to go first. The fifth question is, currently, the only play fields and gyms in Moraga are located on school properties. The community has expressed interest in new or expanded recreational facilities. What role does the town have in providing and contributing to the cost of building and maintaining such facilities?
Excellent question. Given I've got kids in the middle school level, that's definitely something I hear from them as well about the need for enhanced our current facilities. I think that is probably another question you might want to bring up for the school board that's coming up next. The town unfortunately does not own a substantial amount of land. However, as part of some of the housing developments in either end of town, we'd like to make space for and encourage the opportunity for recreation and field development. It would be interesting to find a way to enhance what is existing at the local elementary school, middle school, and high school in town. Given that some facilities are a lot more well-appointed than others, it'd be nice to find some parity and enhance some of the field spaces at our schools. Start there, and then see what we can do to compel and encourage the development of ancillary facilities in some of the other development that we expect to see come through in the near future.
Great. Thank you. Brian.
I'm one of those people who would love to see additional recreation facilities. I always wanted a basketball gym to play in. As I've gotten older, I could certainly appreciate some more pickleball courts. But it's tough. We don't have land. There isn't a lot of flat land in town. And sometimes the capital challenge isn't the main thing. If we build these facilities, we have to operate them. And just because you build it doesn't, that's not the end of the story. It comes up every year at budget, the people that need to maintain it, the people that need to operate it. And so it's difficult. I really do hope that we can explore something in the future. Orinda did Wildwood and extracted great things from them. We didn't do that. There may be limited opportunity to do that in the future, but it's certainly something I'm willing to explore with staff and the rest of the council members.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go to the sixth and final question. Brian, the question will start with you. The question is, what in your background makes you well qualified to serve on the Moraga Town Council? And how will you contribute to ensuring the council maintains a collaborative and civil governing environment?
Well, I was doing some math the other day, and I figured out that I'd gone to somewhere approaching 500 city council meetings in my life. And so I've seen really good council interactions and successes, and I've seen some failures. I worked in some pretty diametrically different communities over my 37-year career. And so I know what makes a council work. I've watched it, I've worked with them individually, and I can model the best behaviors that I've had the privilege of watching and interacting with. And I will tell you that some of the best interactions I saw were at our council when I served as interim town manager just a short while ago. I thought the council was very collaborative and very civil. And I know that it hasn't always been that way, but this recent group sure was. And I really appreciate the example they've set for the rest of us.
Thank you. Lisa.
Well, as to the first part of the question, I think I touched on that in my introduction when I said that my background as an attorney helps me to synthesize a great number of facts in many cases and come to a reasoned decision. And I think that's where my skill set lies. As to the second part of the question, with respect to a collaborative and civil government, it is absolutely essential. I spent some time in my early career as a deputy city attorney, as I mentioned, being at being at Board of Supervisor meetings, and they were very contentious, and it was oftentimes a disservice to the public. I feel very strongly about working collaboratively with my colleagues, and it is important for me to do that. I've always done that in my field, and that is essential to getting the work done of council. I think that the current council has been civil, has been collaborative, and therefore been most effective. And I hope and I know that we will continue with that on this new council.
Thank you. Graham.
Sure. Yeah, and similar as I mentioned in the introduction, with the last 4 years on Planning Commission, our focus there was on the upzoning of the commercial shopping centers, focusing on the enhancing of the general plan, and also ensuring that we passed our state housing element. With that work in place and the time spent on town council, I feel that moving to the town council is an extension of that work done by the Planning Commission. So looking forward to demonstrating those qualifications as those items come up and move their way through from planning into town council. As far as ensuring that the council is collaborative, I think we've got a great example of the current leadership that's worked diligently to demonstrate how they've set the tone, and look forward to continuing that. A lot of my work in design and construction project management is ensuring that there is collaboration amongst architects, engineers, and various trade professionals, so we have alignment on the goals of the project and ensure we've got an outcome that, that everyone can achieve. And maintaining that collaboration, usually through a lot of creativity and positivity, is how I like to approach that, and I see that as an excellent opportunity to do so in this upcoming town council with Brian and Lisa here and the current council members.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move to the closing statements. Graham, you're going to go first. Again, each of the candidates, or I guess appointees, will get a minute to give a closing statement. So, Graham,
Sure.
please.
Again, appreciate the time and opportunity to speak with you all today and answer the 6 questions here. Would love to spend some time afterwards and further meet some of the folks in the room. And although we missed out on the opportunity to truly run for council and further extend ourselves in the community, I look forward to doing that in the next months in advance of the appointment. I'll make an attempt to spend time in each of the neighborhoods that I haven't lived in, and further connect with some of the community members who endorsed me to get me this far. So again, looking forward to having further conversations with the community so that I'm taking your your concerns to where they're heard best.
Thank you. Brian.
Well, I could continue the long list of my kids' activities. But I'm just going to go straight to, why did I run? A lot of my friends ask me that question, and my old colleagues. But the reality is I love this town, and I plan on living here the rest of my life. I feel like I have a unique background that makes me qualified to be a council member. And I also want to continue the legacy of public service that was instilled in me by my parents. My priorities as a council member, coincidentally, are very similar to a lot of the things that we've been asked about tonight. Facilitate improvements to our 2 commercial centers, retain fiscal responsibility, infrastructure maintenance, fire and safety, and retaining our town's character. Thank you all for having us here tonight, and I look forward to seeing you around town.
Thank you. Lisa.
I look forward to talking with those of you here tonight, also those of you listening in through the magic of Zoom. I will be getting around town as time goes on, and I hope that you feel free to contact me and to contact us and talk with us about the things that are very important to you. That's what's most important to me. That's what's most important, I know, to my 2 colleagues. And I just want to thank everybody for being here, for participating in this excellent exercise, and especially thank you to the Moraga Citizens Network, the, if you will, volunteer voice of the community, for all of the hard work they do, bringing this community together. And also thank you to our host, Corey, and St. Mary's College.
Thank you. Thanks to each of our candidates. Again, I really appreciate your substantive and thoughtful responses tonight. I do want to say, so I grew up as a 3-year-old. My dad was the mayor of El Cerrito. And so I grew up going to events like this, and will say just how deeply grateful I am to each of you for your willingness to serve and your commitment to the community. So thank you very, very much. Okay, so we are right at 7:45, which is to say the Niners are still up 23-17. I know you're all going to check your phones. Come on. We're going to take a 15-minute break. We're going to start here, and the game will not be over yet, okay? But you're going to put your phones away. During the second half of the program, you can check now, but the Niners are up. There's 10 minutes to go in the game. We're going to start back right at 8 o'clock with the candidates for the school board. So thank you. Okay, so again, we're going to have a similar format. Each of the candidates will get 2 minutes to introduce themselves. After we do a round of introductions, we will ask questions. We give the candidates 2 minutes each to respond to each of the questions, and then at the end, we'll end with a 1-minute summation. So the speaking order for the introductions, Stephanie, and then Lee, and then John. So Stephanie, you're up.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. My name is Stephanie. I'm running for school board. A little bit about myself. I have a doctorate from Duke University in physical therapy, and I'm an adjunct professor at Samuel Merritt University in their physical therapy program. I also treat patients in their homes here in the La Miranda area. I have 2 really wonderful children. One is in elementary school, the other one in middle school. So I've been very involved in our public schools for the past 8 years, serving on the LPPTA, MEF board, as well as the Student Safety Committee for the past 8 years. I've also been a member of Moraga Rotary, and I absolutely love Rotary. If anyone wants to get involved, that's a great place to be involved. I did some grant writing, and I co-chaired a big fundraiser for them to bring more money into our schools for safety upgrades. I've also done legislative advocacy at the town council level regarding safety issues for our community, and been pretty successful with that. So have a good working relationship with several of the town council members. I come from a family of teachers, if you can believe it. I have a grandmother, mother, father, 3 aunts, and 7 first cousins who are school teachers. So you can imagine what Christmas is like. You know, we all sit around talking about the schools. So I do feel like I hear about schools from the teacher perspective very frequently. And I respect teachers. I know that they're asked to do so much more every year, and I value their input. Finally, the main 3 reasons I'm running for school board. One is I'd like to continue to improve and enhance the safety at our schools for our students and teachers. The other, I have a passion for early literacy, and our schools will be looking into potentially picking a new reading curriculum this year or next year, and I'd love to be a part of that dialogue. And then finally, I feel like our schools are very underfunded from the state, and I have some legislative advocacy skills that I'd love to bring towards that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Perfect timing. Lee, please.
Hey, my name is, let me turn on the whiteboard. My name is Brian Dolan. No? It may be, depending on how I talk, right? So Lee Hayes, been a resident of Moraga for 25 years now, 25 years. I tell people, well, I don't have 25 years experience in anything, but yeah, been at the town for 25 years, have 3 wonderful children, a 21-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 16-year-old that grew up here in Moraga, started out in CP, worked our way to JM, and then my 16-year-old is now a sophomore at Camp Alindo. So I think that gives me a unique perspective, you know, on being on the school board, is that my children have all grown up through here, and they're all successful in my eyes, at least anyway. So, started out when I was 17. I went in the military. I spent 6 years in the military. Got an ROTC scholarship. They let me out. Went to college at UC Davis. Came back in as an infantry officer. So I spent my last 4 years as an infantry officer. Worked on the Planning Commission here in Moraga in 2003. Prior to that, I was with the Design Review Board. So that also gives me a unique perspective on the policies and the public and the needs of the people here in the community. Troop 212, I actually ran the OMPA 1 year, so that's a glutton for punishment. I don't wish that on anybody. I think, you know, based on my experience, I think it gives me a unique perspective, and I feel, you know, that based on my background and seeing how wonderful this education system is here in Moraga, I feel it's a no-brainer for me to run and try and be a part of this great institution.
Thank you very much. John.
Hello, everyone. I am John Panetta, and I was raised in Moraga. I attended Sacklin, Las Perales, JM, and graduated Campo in 2011. I was asked to run by multiple members of our community, including mothers who have children in the district. And Congressman Marc Desaulniers volunteered his endorsement at the Pear Festival, as well as local teachers that currently teach at our schools. I am running because I bring an effective perspective and knowledge of our district that will only ensure our children's education in a changing landscape. To my knowledge, I will be the only board member in our district's history to have firsthand experience of being educated in our district, in which teachers that taught me are still there today, in which former classmates are now employees of the district, in which my mother was co-president at multiple PTA boards, as well as in which former board members are currently family friends. As a student, I utilized the multi-tiered system of support, specifically special education and IEP programs, as I was in Learning Center, and I benefited from an inclusive learning environment and sense of belonging in which teachers acknowledged that I learned differently, taught me how to own it, and while supporting me to get to the next level of my education. I embrace the motto, learn how to fail successfully, grind every day, and build bridges. By utilizing the tools the district gave me, I have come back with over a decade of Contra Costa local government experience, knowledge of how to maintain, tweak, and grow boards if necessary, because I was president of them. As a member of the Sales Tax Committee for Measure K, I solidified my proficiency to monitor financial reports, budget proposals, and project evaluations, and I never forget to provide opportunities to the generation behind me because of my work as co-chair of the Lafayette Young Professionals. I understand the roles and responsibility of a school board member. You are not a politician, and you are not an activist. You are a nonpartisan whose sole focus is ensuring all children are receiving the best education possible by overseeing and evaluating our one employee, the superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move to the questions. Thank you to the MCN for writing these questions. Lee, the first question is going to come to you. I'm going to ask you to pull the mic a little bit closer to you. We're not hearing you well over Zoom.
No, that's a first.
We're hearing you great in the room, but on Zoom I hear they're not hearing you very well. So Lee, you're going to go first. The question is, what is your understanding of the role and responsibilities of a school board member? And what would you do to be an effective trustee?
I think the roles and the responsibilities of a school board member are threefold. One is to maintain and improve the educational excellence of the current, by supporting the high quality instruction, retaining outstanding teachers and promoting innovation. The school board's main role is overseeing the superintendent. I think Dr. Julie Parks has done an outstanding job so far, so I see that as an easy win right there. I think there are some challenges coming up with the school district. One is the budget, of course. I think that's on everybody's mind. We're in a crunch right now. We have one-time funds that are roughly $475,000 that we're getting ready to end, and so we're going to be in a roughly $475,000 shortfall as a district. So there's going to be some hard choices that have to be made in the coming future. And I think coming from the background that I have and the leadership positions that I've held, I think I'm perfectly situated to handle those type of situations. Also, we have a bond measure that's also been approved by the state, which is about $54 million, I believe. And I have a construction background, so I think that puts me in a great position to run and handle that as well.
All right, thank you. John.
Yeah, I think kind of what I was alluded to in my opening statement was, we don't manage the day-to-day of schools, right? That's the superintendent and the principal's jobs to do that. So for us, it's important. I always like to use the example of, just like what Stephanie mentioned, a reading curriculum. Typically, school boards appoint or have the superintendent create a reading curriculum committee, and the school board or the superintendent usually either chairs that or appoints someone to chair it. And it's important that we're not there to influence the decisions of those committees. They basically come together, they do their research and say, hey, based off of X, Y, and Z, we believe this is the best route to go. And typically that's what we vote on. So when you become a school board member, you're kind of going from a 30,000 point of view, right? You are ensuring that what the goals that were established at the beginning of the year with the superintendent are being met. You're evaluating and making adjustments along the way.
All right, thank you. Stephanie?
Well, I think the two of them summed it up very well in many ways. I totally agree. It is the board's member to oversee the superintendent who runs the district. And I think it's very important, though, as a school board member to really listen to everyone, the parents, the teachers, the administrators. Ultimately, the buck does stop with us in terms of the way we vote, and either to support directives or to question, are we doing this the best way? What about this? What about that? It's a way that we engage in conversation, and we're taking care of the collective. We're taking care of the community as a whole, really, because our schools are the crown jewel of Moraga. And so we do have a duty to really think about the topics that are brought to us in a very serious way and not just rubber stamp every single thing that comes across, but to be collaborative and constructive. I feel like it's extremely important for school board members to have the skills to engage in constructive discussion. And obviously no one school board member is in charge of things. The superintendent runs it, and it's our job to engage in discussion in a healthy way. And that's something I've proven that I can consistently do. I've served on many boards. I've actually received awards for my service on boards. Because of that, I have the ability to listen to people who are different from me and to truly listen. And often they change my opinion on things because I am listening. And I'm also someone who's able to put forth an opinion that I have, and I'm not afraid to say it in a constructive way for people to discuss. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, the second question, John, you're going to go first. The second question is, identify one or two important issues facing the Moraga School District and explain how you would like the district to address them.
Yeah, for me, growing up as a millennial, phones are a big issue. They're actually hurt the development of children's brain function, especially young girls. I mean, for me, I see young girls have a 2-year jump on young boys of the same age in terms of brain development, but yet young girls are twice as more likely to experience depression and suicide because of cyberbullying and social media. And to me, I take that personally. I really want a daughter, whoever is crazy enough to marry me. But for me, it's important because Moraga currently has a policy where no phones in while instructing, but you can still have them in your pockets. That actually increases social media intake at recess and at home. There has been proven ways to help with the increase not only in academic excellence, but also decrease in mental illnesses. And one of those was actually done by those at Sandy Hook, where they eliminated phones altogether from schools completely. I'm not saying that's the route we need to go in, but I'm saying that those are the results where significant increases in mental health as well as academia have happened. The second one, I think, is figuring out ways with the how to continue to fund our schools. It's a challenge. We are one of the most wealthiest areas in the state, and that basically doesn't allow us to qualify for a lot of grants. So what I really want to try and understand and figure out is where are we exploring, where can we go to continue to help fund the schools, and what organizations like MEF can we continue to partner with?
Thank you. Stephanie, same question.
Yeah, so I think the biggest two issues facing our schools are going to be budget issues. For years, it's been hard budgetary-wise, and it's going to continue to get harder, so we will have to make some hard decisions about where we put our resources. Dr. Parks is absolutely incredible about this in terms of optimizing spending and being really creative with where she's putting resources. So I'm thankful that she's she's in leadership with our school district. The other major thing that's going to be coming up is spending the bond measure money. We were just given a bond measure by the taxpayers. Thank you guys very much. We really appreciate the yes votes for that because it's going to make a huge difference for our schools. We have very badly needed upgrades. Some of them are safety related, and it's absolutely imperative that we spend this money in a thoughtful way. I watched very closely the last bond measure and how the spending was done, and they did an absolutely impeccable job. I have to say, every dime was used really thoughtfully and well, and I think as a board member, it's super important that all of us are doing the same thing with this bond measure, that we're really thoughtful about where we put those resources and making sure we optimize it. We had a bond measure in 2018. We just have this one now. And I'm guessing we're not going to have another one for 20 or 30 years. So this is our moment. This is our chance to make sure we're spending it wisely. And it's absolutely critical that the 5 board members are engaged in constructive conversation about spending choices with the superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee, next same question.
What they said. Sorry. I mean, I think they've both done a great job in stating what the needs are. I'm perfectly in line with Stephanie right now. I think the number one issue is the budget. We have some outstanding teachers that deserve, they deserve all the money that they can possibly earn, I think. And it's a tough. You have to balance the needs of the students and of the community, but you also have to understand where the teachers are coming from as well. Right now we have some great educators, and it's one of the reasons why Moraga is a preferred place to live. It's our education system, and that's it. I mean, we all are living here in this community probably because of the education at one point in time. So it's a tough situation, and I think it's the same as what Stephanie had alluded to, that we have to find some creative ways to find money out there, whether it's in grants or whether it's other types of options that we may come up with. The other piece, I think, is the oversight of the bond measure. I think that's critical. We have some, just like the town of Moraga, we have some aging infrastructure in our schools. We drive by them every day, and for a while I used to, drive by JM every day and like, oh. Yeah. But it's tough. It's a hard thing. I think we need to be fiscally responsible. I think we have to have great oversight over the bond measure that we have to make sure that we're spending it wisely and we're not just throwing the money away to consultants and letting them do what they want. So. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Stephanie, you'll go first for the third question. The third question is, school safety is a topic of increased concern nationally. What steps do you propose to help Moraga K-8 schools be better prepared to protect our students?
Thank you for this question. This is definitely a passion of mine. When my now 7th grader entered kindergarten, I was very concerned about what would happen in an active shooter situation. I understand this is a broader question. That's when I joined the safety committee and I started researching a variety of safety topics, and it quickly became apparent to me that we needed an expert. So in 2018, I organized a group of parents and I engaged with the Moraga School Board requesting that they hire a school safety expert. I'm so thankful that they did this. In 2018, they came and looked at our campuses, and they came up with a 65-page report of all of the things we need to do to improve safety. And it was every aspect of safety, from medical issues, intruders, sex offenders, traffic safety, bullying, social, emotional, everything was in the report. What was really great about our safety experts is that they are nationally renowned. They are balanced and they are evidence-based in their approach. They do not give information based on politics, but based on the facts of what works. And ever since I've seen that safety report, I've made it my goal to try to make sure from that parent perspective that we are implementing as many of these things as we can. And I'm so grateful to our schools because right away they pretty much implemented everything that you could that was no cost or low cost. Unfortunately, some things cost a lot of money. And that's when I joined Rotary. We fundraised for quite a bit of money to help with school safety, but some of these ticket items are just too high, and they really need to be covered in the bond measure. And so I'm hoping that everyone on the school board, even if it's not me elected, really reads through that safety report and makes it a top priority in their mind when they're voting and distributing funds from Measure D. I hope that safety is the priority. Again, if we don't do it, we've got 20 or 30 years more till another bond measure, and we will have a whole generation of kids not having everything in the place that they should have in place.
Thank you. Lee, same question.
I appreciate that. I'm in total agreement with Stephanie again. I'm so glad she went first. I think, beyond what the safety consultant said, I think there's, every child deserves to feel safe, and we all want to feel safe in our community as well. I think there are some other potential options out there that we can explore, collaboration with the, with the fire department here, collaboration with the police department, collaboration with the CERT team. What happens if we have to evacuate when school is in session instead of in the evening? How are we going to handle that? Those are things that we could all be looking at right now. And then, pulling together parental groups to help with committees, just to explore other options that are out there. Everybody has their unique perspectives, and I think it does us good to bring in other outside voices and see what's out there. I think we also, on the safety perspective, it's the emotional and the well-being of the students as well. So that's another option out there. Promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. I think studies have shown that children do much better when they're feeling safe and in a supportive community. So that's mine.
Great, thank you. John.
Yeah, when this question came up, I thought about a time where we actually had to shut down when I was at school at LP. We had a code at LP. It was called Teachers, Please Bring the Purple Folders to the Office. And it was Mrs. O'Connell, who was the executive assistant to Principal Burns at the time. It was right after recess, and it was a go-kart that was around campus. All the teachers immediately told everyone to get into class, and they immediately shut the school down. And it was everyone had to go underneath the tables, lights were off, and it was just some high school kid, being rebellious, but no one knew at the time. So I've been in that moment as a child in 5th grade when this happened. And everyone handled it really well, and there was no concern from the kids' part. I think we kind of were just like, oh great, like we get to go underneath the table and not have to do any work. It's great. But I think it's important that what Lee alluded to is I would want to see a step-by-step plan of what we have with Moraga Police Department. What is their plan? How are they utilizing it? What's the minute play on that? As well, I have already been talking to Moraga MOFD on their concerns. They want to get really more involved back into the schools as well, and I'm excited that they really want to get involved as well. And I think it's important when it comes to safety and sense of belonging that we do want everyone to feel safe, but I also know LP experienced some challenges when there was a potential active shooter in Miramani. I met with some teachers, and kids were just leaving class because they got a text from their parents saying, "Hey, I'm here," and so they just left, and then the teachers couldn't find them. So going back to what was said before about kind of the emotional aspect of it, it still needs to be organized. And if you're entrusting the district, us with your kids for pretty much all day, we have policies, we have things in place to make sure they get home safely. And I think that also needs to be looked into and respected as well.
Thank you. So we're going to move to the 4th question. Lee, you're going to get this question first. It's a little bit of a longer one. So, recent legislation encourages school districts to create homework policies that, among other things, align with the developmental needs of students, emphasize meaningful assignments over busy work, prioritize students' mental and physical health. What are your thoughts on how this law will impact instruction in the Moraga School District? And so, Lee.
Good question. It's fairly long, you're right.
It is indeed a long question.
Takes a while for me to synthesize that. It's like, you know, really, I think, I don't see it changing Moraga schools and where teachers are teaching students now. I don't think our teachers give homework just for the sake of giving homework out there. I know as a district, we certainly don't condone that. I think our teachers are in tune with our students. You know, they're the front line there. They're the ones talking with students. So I think, you know, the homework, there's opportunities out there to educate students in different ways based on their needs. I think, you know, we have various options available to us, and it doesn't have to be set in stone for every single student out there. I think we have a great set of policies out there to help with those students that require a little bit of extra time or require special education to help with that. And yeah, I think overall, I think the district's in a great place. I've seen some of the policies that we have in place, and I think again, Dr. Parks and the current board have done a great job on that, and I don't really see any issues whatsoever in moving forward.
Great. Thank you. John.
Yeah, like I mentioned in my introduction statement, you know, I was in the Learning Center, right? And that means at 10:30 every day in elementary school, I raise my hand and I go down to Learning Center and get extra help with homework. And that kind of addresses the first bullet point of, you know, how can we align with developing needs of students? You know, I have ADHD when combined with a low working memory, which basically creates a feedback loop of poor reading comprehension. I can't change that. There's no drug I can take, no medication I can take to somehow make my working memory high. So I've had to develop my skills on my own, and with the help of Learning Center teachers, I have utilized those skills in my entire life. I think these are all great ideas. One impact that I can see it affecting Moraga School District is more work on teachers' plates. I think we need to understand what work they have and how we can help them. One of the things that comes to mind is right now Moraga's in a great place. Is we're having like a turnover right now in terms of new families are moving in. We're going to get a new chief of police. We're going to get a new chief of the fire department, and we're bringing in new families. And what I would want to see is a mentorship program from parents to parents. Parents who've been through the district, who've been in schools, and can help these new parents kind of with the homework assignments, can help them with these new laws that are coming into place in terms of what strategies they use. You know, my dad helped me with my homework, right? And I remember we turned a paper sideways once, and I wrote sideways because I actually write better sideways. Who knew? But I think it's important that we understand how this might impact the workload of teachers, figure out a way as a board to how can we implement these policies without bringing more stress to honestly the teachers and the administrative staff.
Thank you. Stephanie.
When I look at this question, I think our schools are already doing fabulous, and we're in alignment with this. Again, my children have been part of the schools for the past 7 years, and I have not seen excessive homework. They're assigned to read 20 to 30 minutes a night, depending on the grade level. My son, who's in the 5th grade, is just now starting to get some homework. So our schools definitely take into account the kids' mental and physical health needs, so that when my kids come home from school, they get to run around and play outside and do all the physically developmental healthy things that they need to be doing to grow. And I just think job done. We don't need to worry about it. The schools already have it covered. They're doing fabulous.
All right, thank you. So go to the 5th question. John, you'll get the 5th question first. The question is, what is motivating you to become a member of the Moraga School District Governing Board?
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of things. I think for me, it's bringing a perspective to the board that I don't think our board has had. You know, I am 31, and yes, I don't have kids in the district, but then I go back to why am I consistently asked to run for school board, and why almost like where they really wanted me to run. It's because I bring a certain perspective, and I've accomplished a lot in my 20s to get to me where I'm at today. And I've experienced every single level of our district and can bring a certain perspective that I think from a child's perspective of growing up and how past policies have been implemented and how that actually helped me continue to succeed in my life. For me, it's a passion because I really, really want to try and help students that if they are falling behind, how can we continue to reinforce and make sure we get them through to the next level of education? Because that was me. Without Learning Center, I wouldn't be here. Without that, I would not be here. And specifically how each teacher took the time to document everything that happened in that year I was there. Because when I went to University of Oregon and I applied to try and get into programs there to help me, they looked at that, along with my mom, who advocated for me very strongly, like she did in the Moraga School District, where the principals knew the inside of my house better than I did. It's important that we continue to help them, but those that are overachievers, how can we help streamline them to help build their resume in terms of even getting into JM and high school, to get them into more STEM programs? How can we continue to boost them and making sure no one falls behind? Because that is really important to me, and I know for a fact if it wasn't for the Moraga School District, I would be in a completely different place right now.
Thank you. Stephanie.
I'm running for the school board because I feel like it's a natural progression to what I've already been doing in the schools. I've been involved for the past 8 years, starting out with smaller jobs and really getting to have a good understanding, at least from a parent perspective, of how the schools run. I see some of the strengths, some of the areas that we can enhance and improve. And honestly, I just feel like it's a calling. My kids are doing great. There's nothing in it for me. I'm more thinking about what about the rest of the community? I want our children to be safe. I guess the main topics I'm interested in are the school safety, which I already touched on. I think having a really strong curriculum is also important. And I think the lack of funding that our schools have is a really big issue. When I served on the physical therapy board in my previous life before children, and I did a lot of legislative advocacy where, on behalf of physical therapy issues, where I would go with other PTs to Sacramento and I would engage with legislators on the topics that faced our profession. And I know not every school board member is comfortable doing that. We've had some in the past, like Richard Severy, who does, which I really appreciate. And now he's stepping off the board. And I'm thinking, well, that's an area that I feel comfortable. That's an area that I could step into where I do feel comfortable engaging our state legislators around our school funding issues. That seems to be our major issue of the day, is school funding. And I don't harbor illusions that one school board member in Moraga is suddenly going to change that for all of California. But what I will say is I'm one voice that's willing to step into that space, and I'm comfortable there, and I'd like to advocate for our teachers and for our schools to have better funding.
Thank you. Lee.
Somebody twisted my arm. I'm running because I believe in our schools and our community. I have a deep sense of involvement with the community. I have a deep sense of involvement with the schools. I think we have some challenges coming ahead out there that are, that I feel that I can help the district with, and I feel that I can contribute and make the district stronger because of my involvement. I think the financial challenges that we see are real. They're coming up. They're here now. Sorry, and I think that's one issue that I think I can assist with as well. I have an MBA from Davis. I have a degree in finance, and I run budgets all the time. I'm also a construction background person. I run construction for a company here in the Bay Area, oversee everything in Northern California. I think between that and between the construction bond measure as well, that's another piece that's motivating me just because of my construction background. I've served on the design review board. I've seen the process. I've worked with architects. I've worked with members of the community in the past, and I think it puts me uniquely in a great position to contribute to the board moving forward.
Okay, thank you. We're going to the sixth question. This is the final question. Stephanie, you'll go first in responding to the sixth question. The question is, if you find yourself in the minority position on a vote, How will you manage this situation both internally and externally?
That's a great question. I'm 100% sure that this is going to happen because that's a part of life. So again, as I say, I'm somebody who I'm comfortable rolling up my sleeves and getting involved. When I see something that I'd like to affect change in, I'm very happy to offer opinions. I'm also very respectful in listening to other people's opinions. And I totally understand that I could get outvoted on things, and I'm probably going to. And I think it's really important that the board is constructive with one another and respectful in their dialogue, and that once a decision by the board has been made, then all board members need to uphold that decision in a respectful way. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing.
Thank you. Lee?
Me being in a minority position, I've never heard of that before. Yeah. I find myself in those positions all the time, actually. I am also a very vocal person out there. If you get me away from a mic and put me down level, then most people are telling me to shut up. I think the one thing that the reason we do so well now is because the board works so well together. There's going to be dissenting opinions all the time, but I think this board is, when you talk about collaboration, you've never seen it in the town unless you've gone to a school board and watched the board members interact with each other. You won't see it at the town council. You won't see it at the planning commission. It's like, wow, it's refreshing. You're sure there's going to be times when you may feel you personally lose, but you look at the greater good of the community and the greater good of the school, and you accept the opinions, and maybe for other people with an opinion different than yours, maybe it opens your eyes a little bit, and you say, okay, maybe they're correct and I'm wrong.
Okay. Thank you. John?
Yeah, this is where I thrive, actually. I really enjoy this. I mean, sitting on a 527 board, as well as all the other boards that I've sat on in the past, this has happened before for me. I've had experience in this. And at the end of the day, it's just like, got it. This is what the majority of the board wants. In terms of the school district or school board, they represent the community. The majority of the community is going this way. I'm going to do everything I can to help implement this process through whatever means necessary. Again, a vote is a vote, but it's also can be viewed as an opinion. At the end of the day, we're going this way. Okay, let's go this way. How can I help? Because I know, again, building bridges, building relationships, understanding everyone's perspective, I love it. Because for me, I don't take it personally. Don't see why I should take it personally, because at the end of the day, it's never about us. It's always about the kids. It's always about the safety of them, the sense of belonging. And it's always about wanting to make sure that we continue to have a fluid board that continues to work together and continues to do whatever is in the best interest of not only the children, but the community that supports the children, as well as the community at large.
Thank you. So we're going to move now to the closing statements. We're going to go from the audience's left to right. So for the closing, we give each of the candidates a minute. And so, John, you'll go first.
Yeah. For me, one thing that really is near and dear to my heart is my mother. She was as tough as nails. Her heart was bigger than her chest, and she never stopped advocating for me literally at every level. So I understand why parents advocate for their kids extremely well. And I will always listen and always be supportive of them and help them produce what I can to help them answer any questions they have. I also experienced bullying a lot because I was in the Learning Center. I had people call my house from payphones back then and bully me. And I know the strategies that worked that the district implemented, and I know strategies that made it worse. And so understanding that being bullied, knowing what works and not, I know that experience. And lastly, I just encourage all of you to go to my website, johnpanetta.com, and understand the diverse set of relationships I have for those that who have supported me and endorsed me, and as well as the skill sets that I can bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie.
Hi. So one thing that I think sets me apart from some of the other candidates tonight is that I do have children in our school district, and I'm parenting them during this particular time. I've been involved in our schools for the past 8 years, so really understand, at least from the parent perspective, a lot of the inner workings. I'm running for school board because I feel called. I feel like it's a passion of mine, several of these topics, particularly the school safety, and I'd really like to see it through. I'm the kind of person who is persistent, as you can tell, because I've been, holding on to the same causes that are passionate to me, that I have passion around for years now, and really wanting to see them through to the end. When I heard that Richard Severy and Janelle Chang weren't running again, I was kind of crushed because they're both absolutely incredible. And we have had such a healthy, constructive board, at least over the last decade that I've been going to school board meetings. And I see the strength that they have in collaborating with one another. I feel like I can contribute constructively to that discussion. I want to support our students, and I want to support our teachers, and I want to support our community as a whole. Please vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee?
Well, I think everybody can probably agree with this. You know, I'm not a great public speaker. I'm not a politician. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm what you see is what you get type guy. I'm steadfast. I'm confident. I'm caring. I'm passionate. And I care about our students, and I care about our education system. I'm one of those people that you can depend on. I'm a leader. I've led in the military, led infantry units, lead now in my organization. I'm just passionate about our children, and I hope, I want to ensure that our education our children receive continues for the rest of the Moraga residents. Stephanie mentioned she has children in the district, and I started counting and said, wow, I've got 20 years experience of my kids running through the district because they're all spaced 3 years apart. So, well, that's a lot of time with Moraga schools, and that gives me a lot of experience with that.
Thank you. All right, so the candidates have all volunteered to stick around, and so you have a chance to talk with them, ask them questions, and thank them for being here. But right now we're going to thank them with joyous, like crazy, wild applause. All right, thank you. Truly, we thank you for your willingness to step up and run for office and your willingness to serve the community. Thank you. I'm going to introduce Dick Courtney. Dick first came to me maybe 6-8 weeks ago to talk about planning tonight. So again, I want to thank Dick and the MCN for all their work. And Dick, please.
Thank you, Clark. Just a couple of closing comments. First, on behalf of both MCN and St. Mary's College, I hope that you found this evening both interesting and informative, and that you'll take that away with you when you leave. Also, I'd like to note that, as Corey mentioned, all the candidates from both the town council, the appointees for the town council, and the candidates for the Moraga School Board have agreed to stick around for a little while. So if you'd like to talk to them individually, please take advantage of that opportunity to do so. Also, for anyone who's interested in attending, learning more about candidates who are running for the Acalanes High School Board, there's going to be a candidate forum next Thursday evening. That's October 17th at the Walnut Creek Library, starting at 7 o'clock. So if you're interested in that, please take advantage of that. So before we leave, let's take one last opportunity to thank all the candidates, both for the town council and for the Thank you. We certainly want to thank them for their being willing to step up and take leadership positions that we all can benefit from, and for being here tonight and expressing their views so we can all learn about them and get to know them better. So let's also thank Corey Cook for his great job in moderating our session tonight. And finally, I want to thank the Soda Center staff for all the work they did in arranging the facilities here, also for the tech support staff for the great job they did and taking care of us. So thank you very much. So I know many of you have probably already received your ballots in the mail from the county election office. Keep in mind that those ballots have to be postmarked no later than November 5th, or if you're going to vote in person, be sure and vote on November 5th. So thank you again for coming, and good night.